Welcome back to Past Gas, everybody. This week we're talking one of the most iconic brands in American hot rodding, international hot rodding as a whole. It's Mooneyes, baby. How did this company come to be? Well, it's a little guy named Dean Moon. He had a ton of jobs growing up. He learned how to do a lot of stuff at a very young age, and he was a hustler. He was licensing his business. He was making parts that actually made your car go faster, and in the process became an icon in the car culture. I'm surprised it took us this long to cover him and Mooneyes. Why is Mooneyes so big in Japan these days? Well, we're going to tell you. This is a fun one. Buckle up. Let's get started. It was the Great Depression, and after getting busted for slinging moonshine, Dean Moon's dad took the family and fled the cold winters of Minnesota for the sunshine of the Golden State. Call it Manifest Destiny or something else, the westward migration led young Dean to the oil fields surrounding Los Angeles, an area soon to become the heart of a new type of automobile. At the forefront of hot rodding, Dean Moon was more than a purveyor of speed. He came to be a historian, a daredevil, and an idol. He took as much pride in being the first Californian hot rodder thrown in jail for street racing as he did in building cars to chase speed records on the salt flats. But who was Dean Moon? If you don't know him by name, you likely know him when you look him in the eyes. When it comes to car culture, few symbols are as recognizable as the cartoonish peepers representing Moon speed equipment, known today as Mooneyes. That simple decal witnessed the genesis and evolution of an entire automotive genre. With iconic products ranging from fuel blocks and foot-shaped gas pedals, Dean Moon revolutionized hot rodding. Housed in the same Santa Fe Springs, California shop since the 1950s, the legendary brand continues to push the limits of speed. But Dean Moon, a member of the greatest generation, brought hot rodding to the world, turning an American tradition into an international passion. From the original Moon caps to jet-powered racers, Moon speed equipment has been pushing the limits of speed for more than 75 years. How did the man behind the brand transform himself from a hot rodding outlaw to a beloved global icon? Blink and you'll miss it on this episode of Past Gas, the story of Dean Moon and the historic Mooneyes brand.
Moonshot. I think it's funny that the greatest generation, was coming like 20 years ago. They were coming after millennials as being like self-centered and stuff.
Right.
Whereas they named themselves the greatest generation. What kind of double standard is that?
Welcome back to Past Gas, everybody. My name is Nolan Sykes.
I started my banter too early. Sorry.
Joined as always by Bart Bidlingmeyer.
Hi, guys.
And Joe Weber.
Oh, good
Brought
news.
to you by Comb. 72 pieces, professional and quality.
This container of plastic comb showed up on our podcast set. I'm not sure why they're here.
Well, I think it's pretty apropos because Dean Moon probably, did
Back
one of
pocket.
these back in the day.
Yeah.
Right?
Were you ever keep a comb in your back pocket kind of guy?
No, I when I comb my hair, it turns into like dust, basically. I have the finest hair on the planet Earth. I can't even, when I shampoo it, it turns into like angel hair.
Huh.
Not the pasta, but like.
Yeah, okay.
Just like wisps.
Wispy hair. Thin hair. Yeah.
Bart, you use a comb? You seem like you use a comb.
I use a comb in the morning.
guy
I don't
for
comb
sure.
throughout the day, though.
Yeah.
Just one and done, I suppose, is enough.
Bart uses a comb. Nolan.
I haven't used a comb since 2011, I think.
I like how they feel on my head. I just don't like how my hair looks after using.
Today we're talking about Mooneyes. I think, I mean, certainly growing up in the drag racing hot rod scene myself, I think pretty iconic company. I'm surprised that we haven't covered them earlier on the show.
It is surprising.
This week, our source is Moon Equipped by David Fetherston. And let's just jump right into it, shall we?
Let's shall.
We'll be right back after these messages. This podcast is sponsored by Indeed. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/passgas. Just go to Indeed.com/passgas right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/pastgas. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need. Now back to the show.
For Dean Moon, entrepreneurship runs in the family. He was born in New Richland, Minnesota on May 1st, 1927, to Dallas Pop Moon, the owner of the local Phillips 66 gas station. He also served as the area's tow truck driver and, in inclement weather, the doctor's chauffeur. That was all fine and dandy until the nasty bite of the Great Depression began to sink its teeth into the family's affairs. As money grew tight in the early 1930s, Pop Moon began to supplement his income by selling aptly named moonshine. As it went, one could stop by Moon's gas station and get 100 octane or 100 proof, your choice. By age 7, young Dean Moon and his older brother Buzz had become part of the prohibition busting supply chain, giving him his first taste of operating a business.
Dude, Buzz
your
Moon
girlfriend.
is
Oof.
Buzz Moon is
Yeah.
one of the sickest names
That's a
we've
cool name.
come
Buzz
across.
Moon.
And we come across a lot of crazy names in this podcast.
Despite selling cans of the good stuff to the mayor, chief of police, and the doctor, Pop Moon still managed to get caught. While records show he suffered a $75 slap on the wrist, some tales point to this incident as his inspiration for heading west to link up with relatives living in California way. In 1936, he sold the gas station and used the proceeds to buy a brand new Chevrolet. With the family loaded up, they hit the road to the Golden State. They're going to be living in Beverly Hills, baby.
Yeah, we strap Rama to the roof.
Here come the Clampets. Having settled near the oil fields of Santa Fe Springs, California, Pop bought an old restaurant and renamed it Moon Cafe. It's here that Dean Moon would spend his morning, nights, and weekends as a busboy and cook. But between the sizzle of the bacon and the gunshots ringing out from overexcited oilmen celebrating a fresh geyser, the young Dean watched the oil derricks bounce up and down. The mechanical motion sparked a flame inside the young man.
Erotic.
That's where it took an erotic turn. Santa Fe Springs is still very industrial. It's up by, I think, Fontana or like Diamond Bar.
Okay, yeah.
So it's a lot of like dusty fields and warehouses and factories and stuff. I know it because the Santa Fe Springs swap meet is there,
Oh.
which all of my friends when I was doing comedy would go and bartend that
Huh.
swap meet. And they said it was insane. It was like $5 beers.
Oh, yeah.
People would just get wasted. And there was
Yeah.
like 85 kegs and they would just
dude.
be running beers all
Going
day.
down to the swap meet, getting trashed.
Yeah.
Start a fight over a...
I'll give you a muffler for your head gasket. Is that a good swap?
I don't know. I think you're getting ripped off.
Yeah.
Ripping
Muffler's
yourself.
worth more, right? Yeah.
Certainly. At the age of 12, Moon began apprenticing at Schaefer Tool Works just across the street from the cafe. The business held a major responsibility in maintaining and repairing the pumping and drilling equipment used by the oil companies, a duty that spanned all hours of the day. The pumps don't stop, baby.
Dude, when I eat chili cheese fries, I got a duty that spans all hours of the
Oh my
day.
God.
So with mornings and evenings at the cafe and days at school, Dean used his final waking hours to learn machining. These skills would lay the groundwork for a career that would ultimately transform the automotive scene in California and around the globe.
Is this kind of how little Nolan Moon would sneak into his dad's machining plant?
I never snuck into a machine shop. I was brought there and told to work.
Sit down.
Yeah, no, I just worked a lot.
Sweep.
Make me some nuts.
Yep.
Where are my bolts, Nolan?
What was my least favorite thing? There's this one. We made this one part. It was kind of like a you know how like light switch covers are shaped? It was like that, but would instead have like a bunch of like LED or little like lights behind it. I think it was like a faceplate. But what I had to do was like use a big press to press in like these little like bolts onto the backside, and there would be thousands of them, and I would just spend all day like with my iPod and just going.
That's not good for posture.
No, it wasn't. That's probably why I sit like this now. But yeah. Anyway, just
Did
a
your
lot of
dad
stuff
pay
like
you
that.
anything?
Oh yeah, I got paid.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, buy a PS2 game. Go. Oh, I could work for 4 hours and buy a PS2 greatest hits for $20 down at the
Gex
Target?
is $9.99.
Yeah, dude. No, I never had Nintendo. Was Gex on PlayStation? I don't think it was.
Gex might have been Sega.
Cool.
PlayStation.
So, yep. Oh, it was. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. I think they're bringing Gex back.
Wow.
Gex is coming back.
It was originally for the 3DO.
We'll be right back after these messages.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check your friend's music taste first before saying yes to concert tickets. You thought you were seeing a big name, but no, it was just 2 hours of musical interpretations of cars revving. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Potential savings vary, including based on how you buy. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
This podcast is sponsored by Hemmings. Looking for a boost in the bedroom? Hemmings is here to help with personalized ED treatment options, and it's all online. Hemmings is changing men's healthcare by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your own couch. Hemmings provides access to a range of doctor-trusted ED treatments like chewable hard mints and Viagra and Cialis, and their generics for up to 95% cheaper. The process is 100% online, so there's no need for uncomfortable doctor's visits. Just answer a series of questions on their site and a medical provider will determine the right treatment option. If prescribed, your medication ships directly to you for free. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. With hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, Hemmings can help you find the ED option that works for you. Start your free online visit today at hemmings.com/gas. That's hemmings.com/gas for your personalized ED treatment options. hemmings.com/gas. The products mentioned are chewable compounded products which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan. Now back to the show.
All right. Well, okay. So Dean Moon's working at the cafe. He's going to school and he's learning how to machine stuff.
Later on, when he wasn't earning medals in swimming or wrestling at Whittier Union High,
Whoa.
Dean could be found at the local Lincoln Mercury dealer where he worked in the machine shop and learned about fuel delivery and ignition systems.
Imagine you're buying a car and taking it to the dealership to get fixed. And they're like, hey, all right, Dean is 16. He's going to work on it.
Yeah.
He's going to sort you out.
But he looks 35 probably at this
Yeah,
point.
that's probably true. He's probably smoking a pack a day.
Yeah. He doubled down on his education and enrolled in shop class at school. That's where he met Fats Moore, one of the area's original hot rodders. He had built, when they showed the like the average linebacker this Super Bowl versus Super Bowl I, the average or defensive player this game was 6'6" and 340 pounds.
Oh my God.
That's the average.
That's crazy.
The average player in 67 or whenever the first Super Bowl was 245 pounds and 6'3".
Damn.
Yeah.
That's crazy. All right. So Fats Moore had built one of the first stroked flathead Fords.
Okay.
Dean saw this and became keen on learning the ways. Moore took him under his wing, giving him lessons in the art of speed.
Something I want to do is just like, and probably will not follow through on at all as I say this out loud, but is like buy something like a flathead or like have a K24 or just like something like an engine and just put it together and just have it and just wait for the opportune moment to put it into something.
Yeah.
Flathead is definitely on the list.
So it wouldn't be like ornamental.
No. I mean, like, here at the office, we've had a couple engines just in our lobby. Like right now we have the LSX 454 that Chevy sent us when they
an RB or something, or did that?
There was an RB.
Yeah.
That was Job's RB was in there. And then we had a 2JZ that's in the BMW now for a while. We had the K24 as well that's in the Civic. So I don't know. It's just like a cool thing where it's like, learn how to do something, put something together, learn it, and then, either sell it later on or, if the opportunity comes to put it into something, that'd be fun.
But the point is, you want people to walk in the room, not even question if you're a gearhead or not.
Yeah, that's right. Don't question my credentials.
It's completely just decrepit.
Yeah, it's just falling apart.
Are falling off.
Like the timing chain
I
covers.
thought this was a good idea at the time.
Down. Yeah.
And the first question you ask your guest is, what's the engine code on that? They're like, I don't know. It's falling apart.
I didn't know Gallo Pizza made an engine. Like, I think Nolan's been hitting the head.
Dean picked up his first car, an Austin Bantam, akin to a Smart 4.2 in terms of its size compared to other autos on the road those days. Despite the lack of cylinders or horsepower, this car would become instrumental for Dean as he had to tear the engine apart multiple times to fix bent connecting rods. Frustration turned into knowledge, but it wasn't long before he was running a Ford Model A coupe instead. As World War II began to rage, teenage Dean was hard at work, putting the knowledge he'd gained at the tool works and the dealer to use to produce fuel blocks in his shop class. He took advantage of the area's only dyno at the dealership, proving the impact of his design.
Oh.
Using all the tools at his will, he began selling them one at a time before he even graduated, marking his entry into the speed equipment industry. But upon tossing his cap in the air, he felt a higher calling and joined the Merchant Marine. He landed in Japan at war's end among the first U.S. occupying forces.
Dang. Both Dean Moon and Bruce McLaren started their wrenching careers working on Austin Bantams. Because the Austin 7 is the similar car, car.
I think it's a little bit bigger.
I think they're like a license kind of deal. But yeah, working on these tiny little cars. Bruce McLaren, of course, he like hill climbed his. He like raced his. That's interesting.
I think the point is that when you're young, it's easy to work on a small, simple engine in a small, simple car. Kind of just like how it's easy to transition, get into motorcycles and then transition from motorcycles to cars.
Yeah. Dean returned home from his tour and soon found himself spending his days back in the oil fields, fixing machinery, and his nights running with the Hutter's Car Club. After picking up a 4-cylinder 31 Ford, he tried every trick in the book to extract every bit of power from it. Around this time, he had proper molds made of his fuel blocks that equalized pressure to the multi-carb setups commonly ran on flatheads back in the day. He'd sling them to the other guys who heard Moon had a few tricks of his own. His foray into hot rodding was only just beginning. And if you want to learn more about hot rodding in general, check out episode 245. In his pursuit of speed, he began experimenting quite successfully with other parts, such as ignitions and carburetor linkage systems. Before long, he was making a name for himself and his parts on the dry lake beds of the region, as well as out on the streets, selling his products anywhere he could. Turns out, though, he wasn't fast enough yet. During one such street race, Dean got caught by the cops and thrown in the slammer. After serving 4 days of his 7-day sentence, he jumped right back behind the wheel, boasting about being the first hot rodder sent to jail for street racing in California. And thus, the legend was born.
I like that he served, it's like 4 days. What happened to the last 3? Were they just like, yeah, all right, get out of here,
You're pretty
get
keen.
Out of here, kid.
Dean.
You're keen, Dean. Hey, you ever listen to that band Ween? This guy Dean does it with his brother Gene. Anyway.
Are you listening to me? I feel seen.
By 1950, the hot rod scene was picking up steam, and so was Dean's business. This led to the first formation of Moon Automotive, which focused on parts distribution. But another international conflict would throw a wrench into Dean's plan. A draft notice from the Air Force led to Dean becoming an aerial photographer. Taking pictures is a skill he'd later applied to documenting the hot rod scene in Southern California with features in early magazines that covered the genre, such as Motor Trend and Rod and Custom. Lucky for him, he ended up being stationed in Salt Lake City, where he taught others to snap photos. The location suited him well. Turned out the Air Force had no qualms about him using his leave to spend time with his new wife, Shirley, at the Bonneville Salt Flats. Just
Shirley,
a
he's
quick
going to the
2-hour
Bonneville Salt
drive.
Flats.
Yeah. A 2-hour drive from Bonneville.
You know that?
Bonneville to Salt Lake?
Yeah.
2 hours. Very straight road. Very boring drive.
Kind of reminiscent of the people that live there. Very straight and very boring.
There, he'd enjoy the national speed trials and find fuel for his true passion. Shirley may or may not have enjoyed it as much, but she would never leave his side.
And just to go back to Motor Trend and Rod and Custom, those are both started by Robert Peterson of the Peterson Museum.
And we did an episode on him, and it's a really good one.
It's super surprising.
Yeah. Go check that out if you haven't. Very good stuff.
Kind of like Dean Moon. Like, I knew Mooneyes had a really cool story, but I didn't realize like how instrumental he was to the scene.
I mean, that dude was a hustler, man. He would Just grinding.
He's a hutter.
He had that real grind set.
Yeah, beta grind set. The original
Following his second discharge,
You should see a doctor.
Dean spent a short stint at the dealership that taught him his ways. Within the year, he decided to set out on his own, leading to a new form of Moon Automotive in a shop behind his dad's cafe in Santa Fe Springs, California. There he began to refine his parts and experiment with new ones. His fuel blocks, ignitions, and linkages all grew in popularity, but tune-up work that he tackled with his brother Buzz truly supported him. That changed with his first major seller and had nothing to do with going fast, but it looked the part. In the first month on the shelf, Dean Moon sold 200 foot-shaped gas pedals, a staple of early hot rodding that remains popular today. Word spread, but performance spoke louder, and more people caught wind of his products. Gas tanks became another success for him. While many drivers of the era used surplus war tanks, Dean was among the first to build tanks specifically for racing. His most popular model of the day came in the form of a 3.5-gallon aluminum tank with a twist lock cap. Pressure tested for 10 psi, it could be had with a Moon-designed hand-operated pressure pump mounted directly on the tank or in the cabin. This resulted in consistent fuel pressure when paired with his induction system, ensuring optimal performance.
This seems like a huge innovation for the day.
He'd followed the tanks up with another iconic product, the Moon Disc, spun aluminum wheel discs. They're wheel covers, basically.
Yeah.
While he'd seen similar stylish yet functional hubcaps on rides of the era, including Ack Miller's famous Roadster, Dean claimed his version could add up to 7 miles per hour to your run once you've already hit 190 miles an hour. The disc sold in quantities of 10,000 or more per month in the 1950s. They're still one of Moon's most popular products today and remain hand-spun. That's
crazy.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just like aluminum dishes that go over your wheels. They're hubcaps. They have no openings or anything like that.
It's very plain.
Very plain, but like, more aerodynamic too.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the whole draw, very popular on like salt flat cars. A couple drag cars run them too. I know also on like custom cars, people run them as well. They're just cool, man.
A lot of their products are like obviously very popular for this time, the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of speaks to how good their taste was, where it's like every other, product from this time has gone through multiple versions of being retro and being cool again. These have always remained cool.
They're badass product.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, they're iconic. Our buddy Dean, who has since passed away. Different Dean. He passed away a few years ago, but he's the one who let us use we're driving his Roadster.
Oh.
His Bonneville car.
Awesome.
He had Mooneyes discs on his Chevy HHR.
Whoa.
Yeah. He was an old time guy.
That almost makes it cool.
Almost, yeah. It was really fun to see Dean roll up in that thing.
Was it the panel van version?
I believe so.
Really?
Yeah, that's cool.
Those are rare.
Yeah. No. Red.
Dude, you seem like you would drive an HHR.
Moving on.
As the business expanded, Dean found himself in need of a bigger space. In 1956, this led him to purchase the property located at 1920 South Norwalk Boulevard, Santa Fe Springs. Upon opening his new shop, he christened the business Moon Equipment Company. A fresh logo seemed to be the last piece of his organizational puzzle.
We'll be right back after these messages. This podcast is sponsored by Indeed. Let me tell you a little story about hiring. I hire a lot of writers at Donut, so that means I need to hire writers quickly, and a lot of the time, before I used Indeed, it was such a pain in the butt. I have a million tabs open, trying to keep everything tracked, just a headache. That's why Indeed is so great. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job posts seen on other job sites. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you stand out and hire fast. With Sponsored Jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. and that makes a huge difference. One of the things I love about Indeed is that everything is there in one place. You don't have to have a million tabs open and keep track of everything and have a huge headache. No headaches with Indeed. Plus, with Indeed sponsored jobs, there are no monthly subscriptions, no long-term contracts, and you only pay for results. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/passgas. Just go to Indeed.com/passgas right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/passgas. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need. Now back to the show.
What started as a typewritten signature when Dean would put periods in the O's of his last name when using a typewriter would eventually evolve to become one of the most recognizable logos in hot rodding.
That's pretty cool.
Right?
Yeah.
Just a little flair. Like the first iteration of the Mooneyes logo can be found on Creighton Hunter's Model T drag racer from the 1950s that featured double zeros as its number. Dean painted eyes in the zeros and he knew he was onto something. In 1957, he contracted a Disney artist to enhance his design, birthing the official Mooneyes logo.
Hell yeah, dude.
In the late 50s, business began to boom. Boom, boom, boom. Not just for Dean, but for his contemporaries too. In 1958, Vic Edelbrock Sr. became the first to achieve an engine build that resulted in 1 horsepower per cubic inch, doing so with a 283 Chevy small block.
Oh, okay.
His cross-ram manifold proved to be the key ingredient of the success. His son Vic Jr. took over business following his father's death in 1962 and grew it into one of the most recognizable names in speed.
Yeah, dude, Edelbrock.
Mm-hmm.
Have we done an episode on that?
Oh, we should.
Oh,
Put it on the list. Slap it on that list, Audrey. Roy Richter is often cited as the owner of the first true speed shop, having purchased Bell Auto Parts in Bell, California in 1945. Though he offered various speed parts, his focus became safety after witnessing deaths of several friends on the tracks, as well as assault flats.
Bell Safety.
Yeah.
Yeah, the helmets. This led to the development of Bell helmets in 1954,
Nice.
which became a top choice for racers of the era. In 1955, Roy purchased Crager Corporation, which originally sold cylinder heads and aircraft engines. He was instrumental in the wheel segment, leading to the creation of the Crager SS.
Oh, yeah.
Those are some classic wheels. You know what? Those wheels are pretty classic. Fellow hot rod entrepreneur Ed Eskandarian had gone from grinding camshafts to offering a wide range of speed parts too. While many of his friends and competitors focused on selling products to the guys driving at a professional level, Ed wanted to make it easy for the street runners too. He was among the first to offer different kits for building engines, particularly Chevy V8s, making it simple to order all the necessary parts to hop up a ride all at once. In 1963, Dean, Vic Edelbrock Jr., Roy Richter, and Ed Eskandarian, along with a handful of other industry leaders, formed the Speed Equipment Manufacturing Association, known today as SEMA.
Oh, whoa. Okay.
Eskandarian served as its first president, with Dean taking the reins for 1964.
Very cool. While Dean remained focused on manufacturing speed parts, he also tackled complete car builds with his staff. One of the first to appear from the new Moon shop was Moonbeam, a Devon-bodied dragster equipped with a stroked and bored 354 cubic inch Chevrolet. The engine was fit with forged pistons, Grant rings, a GMC blower. It had a Potvin manifold and Hilborn injectors, resulting in an output of 600 horsepower.
Jeez.
Built on a frame of seamless tubing and supported by Monroe shocks, the car itself was a true mishmash of parts. Its components included wheel spindles from a 48 Ford. It's got a 48 Lincoln Bendix brakes up front and 1960 Merc Bendix binders in the back. Binders.
Dude, those are those Merc Bendix binders. Some of the best binders.
A Schiefer flywheel and clutch assembly sent power to the Halabrand quick change rear end. Very cool.
This is like the most insane build. It has something from
Everybody.
everyone.
The 2,000-pound Moonbeam was built to be a record breaker, and break records it did. It posted top times at Pomona, Henderson, Nevada, San Gabriel, and landed at the top of the timetables for the Modified Sports and 1320 records of the American Hot Rod Association. At the quarter mile, it hit 134.75 miles per hour, and at the half mile, took it to 157.8 miles per hour. And at the Salt Flats, the car hit a high of 185. It wasn't all go and no show, though, as the Moon Yellow...
Stop rapping, dude.
As the Moon Yellow Racer took home several trophies for just sitting pretty. One of the most significant vehicles to be put together in the garages of Moon Equipment Company came at the hands of one Carroll Shelby. The race car driver and car builder utilized the space to build his prototype Shelby Cobra, pairing a small block Ford V8, the aluminum AC Ace. It'd only be a matter of time for the Cobra and Shelby to become household names. Next came the Mooneyes Dragster, fit with a 300 cubic inch Chevy built by Roy Gamble. The car saw a number of drivers, including Kerry Gagel, who won Middle Eliminator at the 1963 Winter Nationals. Another driver of the car, Dante Deuce.
These names are awesome.
That's the sickest name I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Called up Sidney Allard and challenged him to a race. Allard had created the low-volume Allard Car Company in 1945 and was known to use Moon speed equipment on his own cars by the 1960s. The call resulted in the Mooneyes Dragster being shipped to the UK in the fall of 1963 for a little showdown. While no proper race took place, Dante Deuce gave the fans what they wanted in an exhibition, running the fastest quarter mile outside the U.S. at 9.48 seconds, hitting 166 miles per hour.
Damn. 1963. That's crazy.
The event launched a British love affair with drag racing, and the event also marked Dean Moon's entry into international hot rodding. Throughout all this, Dean continued to expand his product line to include finned valve covers and lightweight timing covers, among others. His efforts began to attract a crowd he'd long been running from, the police. Knowing their standard police cars lacked the speed to keep up with crooks and hopped-up rides, several departments contacted Dean Moon's shop to improve their fleet's performance and reliability. While never opposed to making a sale, Dean remained focused on building the fastest cars in the world.
It's like when the FBI contracts hackers, like come hack for the FBI.
White hat hackers, yes.
White hat hackers, that's what it's called?
Mm-hmm. That's when you do work for, that's when you do like legit security work.
You find holes in security.
Yeah, you're a white hat, and then black hat hackers.
Oh, that's a weird name for it.
I mean, black hat has been around for a while, I think, as a trope.
International racing of all forms was climbing in popularity in the 60s, providing a significant opportunity for equipment manufacturers to prove their worth. When Dean Moon was contracted by Nissan engineers to work on a Grand Prix race car, Moon was, dare we say, over the moon about the opportunity to show off his products in front of a global audience. The Nissan/Prince R381.
Because his name is Moon.
Yes!
Okay. I'm sorry. Go on. I just got that.
The Nissan/Prince R381 had been originally designed for a V12 power plant, but as the clock wound down to race day, the team faced a time crunch and had to pivot. They called on Dean Moon to save the day. What resulted was a custom-built 450 horsepower Chevy V8 that powered the R381 at the Japan Grand Prix for sports cars in 1968. It was the first and only time Nissan used an outsourced engine, and it paid off. The car beat out the likes of Toyota and Porsche for first place, earning Mooneyes significant praise in Japan. The win would play a pivotal role in Moon's later legacy, domestically and abroad.
Well, hold on. This is crazy because like we've talked about this car before.
It never got brought up that Dean Moon did it, right?
I don't remember that. So imagine it's like a Japanese Ford GT almost, a little smaller, a little uglier too, but
wow.
Come on, dude. Look at it. But it's cool, man. Like we've mentioned this in so many videos, this car, and I had no idea that Dean worked on it. And that's really, really cool. I mean, this is the car that would go on to kind of like inspire the GTR, because Prince and Nissan would further they wanted to like get more into racing, and that's why they developed the not Ken Murray, but thank you, Hakosuka. Yeah, so wow, Dean had a role in that, dude.
That's sick. It's like he's like the Forrest Gump of car stuff.
Yeah, he's very Forrest Gump like.
And then Shelby was like, "Man, I need a garage to build my
Yeah.
Cobra in.
Okay.
Garage to build my
Yeah.
Cobra in.
Okay. All right, Carol. That's a girl's name.
Carol's a girl's name. So is Shelby.
Then one day, a man with a girl's name asked to build a race car in my shop.
That's the craziest thing I ever heard. You're a new killer, Shelby.
That's the old lady that Forrest Gump talks to on the bench.
There was an old fat guy too. Remember?
Yeah.
He was the one
yeah.
who was like, "You don't know Bubblegum Shrimp Company, you stupid idiot."
Yeah.
You know?
I gotta watch that. It's a great movie.
I remember you
quote.
watched it for the first time like a year ago, right?
Yeah. Oh,
it
this
was
our
a good movie, but
Okay.
I think Pulp Fiction deserved the Oscar that year.
The early 1970s saw Dean providing equipment for Don Garlett's World Championship Top Fuel Dragster and Gary Gabalich's land speed record-setting Blue Flame.
The Blue Flame, huh?
On October 23rd, 1970, at the Bonneville Salt Flats, Gabelich drove the rocket-powered car to a speed of 622.407 miles per hour in the flying mile.
That's insane, dude. Imagine that.
Riding on continued successes in drag racing and speed trials, Dean turned his attention to expanding the brand. A chance encounter between Dean and a young Disney employee visiting the U.S. from Japan named Shiga Suganuma would provide both with an opportunity in the early 1980s. Shiga, working with Dean and college classmate Chico Kodama, began to import American speed parts to Japan. Shiga continued working at his day job at Disney until taking a leap of faith, going full-time with his speed company. It wasn't long before Mooneyes and American hot rodding in general blew up in popularity in the island country.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Hey, you work at Disneyland.
Yeah. There's also a Disney thread to all
Crazy.
that too.
Yeah.
By the mid-1980s, Dean oversaw production and distribution of a full line of speed parts being manufactured in the same Santa Fe Springs shop since the 1950s.
I'm probably the only one who thinks this, but I kind of wish he made Springs
Yeah.
and just called it Santa Fe Springs.
Nice.
That's
I
a
feel like
that's a
there's
very Disney
missed
thing.
opportunity there, yeah.
All the while, Dean continued to expand his footprint in pop culture. He participated in commercials and collaborations with numerous brands, ranging from Budweiser to Japanese soda companies. He also appeared in several movies, such as Eat My Dust and Stroker Ace.
Those old classics.
He was riding...
You guys have never seen Stroker Ace?
No.
No.
You gotta look it up.
The title character, a popular NASCAR driver, clashes with the fried chicken mogul that sponsors his racing team.
Yep.
That actually sounds pretty good. He was riding the wave of success, and the only thing that could slow him down was death. After bringing hot rodding to the world, Dean Moon passed away on June 4th, 1987 at the age of 60.
That's young.
Dang.
That's too young.
Yeah. Parts production temporarily halted upon his death before his wife, Shirley, stepped into the operation and got things moving again. Unfortunately, she passed away just 2 years later. The business again faced an uncertain future. Having been friends with the Moon family for more than a decade, Shige Suganuma and Chico Kodama were able to purchase the business in the early 1990s. They rebranded as Mooneyes and worked tirelessly to bring it back to life both in the USA and internationally. The pair retained the original shop in Santa Fe Springs, and in 1991, they opened Mooneyes Area 1 in Yokohama, Japan, a Mooneyes cafe and retail shop that promotes and supports the hot rodding and Southern California lifestyle. Both true hot rodders, Chico continues to chase land speed records at the Bonneville Salt Flats, driving vehicles equipped with Mooneyes equipment. Dude, that's sick.
Yeah.
I'd always wondered about, because I know in recent years specifically, there's a lot of Mooneyes and I don't know, Japanese branding and stuff. I was like, what is the deal with that?
Yeah.
And now I know, because a guy worked at Disney. Started importing parts. Did
they
that's cool.
say that it was at Disneyland?
So it's just Disney.
Yeah.
Oh, Disney.
Right?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because he worked with an animator stateside.
Right.
I wonder if it was Disney's Japan
Maybe.
branch. Because
that's-
Disney Japan didn't exist at that time.
I didn't think
Not-
so. No,
not
I don't think
The
it did.
world.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right, Joe. I'm an idiot.
I didn't say
No,
that.
I'm not saying that you said that. I'm saying that because I
You're not an idiot.
don't respect myself.
That's your dad talking, Nolan. Come
no,
on.
he doesn't call me. He only
on,
called me
Nolan.
idiot one time,
You-
and that was because I forgot my cleats when we were going to a travel 7-on-7 game.
Yeah.
And
What are you
being-
doing, you idiot?
Yeah.
Like that. Kind of like,
He got
lift your
pretty mad.
shoes. Oh!
We're going out to Fresno or something.
Yeah.
And then he immediately was like, "Oh,
No, I had to borrow some cleats from another player, and this player was also like kind of, I think,
Left him in a ditch.
no, more well off.
We
So
had
his
to-
cleats were like really nice. And I was like,
Oh.
damn, I should get some of these. And then I looked
Yeah.
them up and they're like $200. I was like, I'm not
Jeez.
doing that.
Anyway,
Anyway.
were they Copas?
No, they were Nikes, but they
Uh-huh.
had like this weird like support thing under the heel. So it wasn't like
Mhm.
your foot went into the shoe. There's like another like frame thing inside the shoe.
Whoa,
And I was like, I've never worn shoes like this.
you're super fast.
I was the fastest JV center there ever was, Joe. I actually did have a pretty quick 40 time, I think.
Really? Do you remember what it was?
No, probably slow. If it was fast, I would have remembered it,
Yeah.
probably.
Mm.
You know, Jeremiah ran a 4.4.
I believe that.
That's
Got
crazy.
a long stride. He's got a six pack, so he can do anything. What did I say here?
Dean Moon. Back to Dean Moon.
Today, you can still visit the original Mooneye Equipment Company shop in Santa Fe Springs, which still manufactures, sells, and ships parts worldwide. Chances are they make moon discs that will fit your car's wheel and make it look a lot cooler. And yes, you can even get it for your little Model 3 if you want. From the oil fields of California to the drag strips of Great Britain, the streets of Tokyo to the dry lake beds of Australia, Dean Moon spread American hot rodding traditions all over the world. The next time you spot a foot-shaped gas pedal, go ahead and step on it in his honor.
It's an honor for you to step on it.
That's
It's
right.
not looked at as an insult. You should step on it.
Dang, that's a cool story, man.
Yeah.
I gotta get a Mooneyes jacket now. That's what I want to do.
I have Mooneyes collaboration with Loser Machine.
Oh, that's sick.
Flannel shirt. I
That's
should have worn
tight.
it today. What was I
What are
thinking?
you thinking, dude?
Dang.
That's sick. Very cool story.
But it's cool to know that like it's owned by someone who loved the brand before,
Mhm.
bought it because he loved it and wanted to keep it going.
Yeah, that's like when you hear like a restaurant was bought by like a loyal patron or like
Yeah.
someone who worked there, and you're like they're keeping it going. There's that, I forget what restaurant it is in New Orleans, but it's like that block long restaurant. You know what I'm
Mhm.
talking about?
And
And the guy who owns it was just like someone who was just like a really huge
that makes
fan.
the beignets
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
they make a lot of.
by Jackson Square.
I've never been there, so I don't know.
Dude, you gotta go.
You gotta go.
How many
Anyway,
times I gotta tell you gotta go?
we go on digressions a lot on this show. We got some listener mail this week.
Yeah, this is a really long letter, so I'm gonna pick one paragraph out of random to read out of this.
Okay.
This is from with love from TG Anding.
All right.
Greetings, celebrated scholars from the great automotive empire of Donut Media.
Oh,
My
thank
name
you.
is Tate G. Anding, and I send you this note bearing gifts. Inside this box, I put 2 bags of gummy worms to be placed in your rodent snack rankings. These gummy worms were bought in store at the world famous Blaine's Farm and Fleet. That is a Wisconsin staple. Although these gummy worms are nothing special, they have become special to me and my father through our long nights wrenching tirelessly on our shit boxes.
Hell yeah. Okay.
That's great. Whether it was bleeding the air out of my father's 66 Impala ragtop hydraulic system, finding the reason why his 20-foot Corvette has a strange ticking noise coming from the engine, or installing a whole new suspension on my 22 GR86, these gummy worms have saved us time and time again from ripping our throats.
Hell yeah.
Give them a try. I hope you like them.
Will do.
And then there's 4 more paragraphs. But thank you, Tate G.
Thank you, Tate. Let's try these things out.
Yeah.
Or we will try them out. Actually, just throw me the bag. F- it.
Yeah, f- it. Ah! Paul! Are you all right, Paul?
All right. Busting the, we don't usually, we're bringing it back.
Yeah. If you are not from the Midwest, you probably have never been to Blaine's Farm and Fleet. But it is, as they say, there's farming equipment. And I've been in a couple, but I remember I got a story about Farm and Fleet. My
Okay.
friend Gifford,
Are you talking about quality farm and fleet or
Blaine's Farm and
Okay.
Fleet. My friend Gifford got caught stealing spurs from there.
Uh-oh. There's only one thing you can do to someone stealing spurs around these parts.
Slap him.
Yeah, I guess
Dude,
that'd be
these
a
are
reason.
good as
Yeah,
hell.
these
Oh
are
my
real good.
God.
Oh, I can smell them.
Have you tried these?
No.
These might be the best gummy worms I've ever had.
These are very good government.
Holy shit. Thank you, Tate. Anyways, thank you for listening. The story of Mooneyes was amazing, eye-opening. Join us every week. Talk about automotive history. We got a bunch of really cool stuff coming up, so stay tuned.
Now, let me take a look at this schedule. We got We're talking Fox Body coming up.
Yeah.
We're talking Nigel Mansell. We got Max Arito
Oh,
in
yeah.
a few weeks. Camaro, Jackie Ix, Caterpillar. Let's go. Dude. Oh, you know what? I think that should be episode 300. Not
What?
Caterpillar, but there's another one. I don't want to spoil it.
Okay.
Anyway, we got some really cool stuff in the pipeline here at Pass Gas. And of course, we always love the fact that you listen. And we are very appreciative of that. Thank you so much for sticking with us and just listening every week. We really, really appreciate it. We have a lot of fun here. Having Bart on the show has been a real pleasure
Yeah,
the
man.
past couple weeks. And
I've been enjoying it,
we're going to
guys.
keep that
Thanks.
going.
Cool.
So thank you again for listening. Thanks to Audrey and Edgar behind the scenes here. Thanks to our writer this week, Brian Corey. Again, our source for this episode was Moon Equipped by David Fetherston. Go check that out. If you want more Mooneyes facts for your little brain. And or your big brain. I don't know. Bigger than mine. Idiot. Follow Bart at BidsBardo. Follow Joe at Joe G. Weber. Follow me at Nolan J. Sykes if you'd like on Instagram and Blue Sky. And that about covers it. We'll see you next time.